Greetings. My name is Jeff Long, and welcome back to another episode of the Death, Taxes, and Sports Podcast. We are here on episode 55. I'm here with my current co-host, Ben Holloway. Gary Johnson will be here at some time when he wakes up from his nap or whatever it is that he's doing. Hopefully his pillow
Don't disrespect the man. Don't disrespect
hopefully his
the man.
pillow has kept him nice and comfy. But tonight we're gonna discuss a little Week 14 of the NFL power rankings and our favorite topic, fantasy football. But Mr. Ben Holloway, talk to you, boy. How you feeling after that little nail biter of a game against Houston, man? Talk to me.
Yeah, we definitely gonna get there. But I said this, and I don't think it's an exaggeration. If they lost, which I'm glad I can use the word if, but if they did, I think that would have been the worst regular season loss in NFL history. Like 1-10, 9-3. Okay, one tie. Sorry, 1-10-1, and 9-3.
Well,
that would have been hard.
That would have tied it. That would have tied it to but I think that would have tied it. I think maybe 2008 or 2009 when the Ravens gave the Dolphins their only win of the season.
Yeah,
1-15. That one game was against the Ravens.
Would have been up there, that's for sure.
We should definitely do an episode of biggest upsets in NFL history. Write that note down. Let's do that maybe towards like the end of the season.
Oh, we could just do top 10 of all of ours, all sports, and that would probably take 30 minutes right there. Top 10, all
let's
sports.
Do that.
There
let's
you go.
Do that.
Top 10, all sports. All right, let's kick this one going, my man.
All right, so week 14 recap. So one takeaway.
Any team.
Yeah. I'm going to say this, Mitchell Trubisky, okay? 2 words, Mitchell Trubisky. Mm-hmm. He is who we thought they were. He is who he is. We knew, okay? There was a reason why they went away from him after just 4 starts. The man had 3 interceptions. This game was a very, very, very winnable game for the Steelers, but yet because of those turnovers, he literally cost them the game. The Ravens were undermanned down to the 3rd string and were able to run the ball relatively effectively against a relatively decent front 7 in the Steelers defense, which I do not think is necessarily terrible. They do deserve some respect.
They've gotten better, especially since TJ Watt came back.
Absolutely. They have. And so, the Steelers are still a, respectable team. I think they're a little bit better than their record. I think they've had a better offensive line, better quarterback play. I think they would be contending for this division. But yeah, man, that's the first one that really hits home for me. And then the second one, I had to do second one is the Arizona Cardinals.
Go for it. I'm
just saying the Arizona Cardinals, man. I'm in the gym running, and then I see Kyler Murray run, plants on that knee, and I'm like, it's done. So it's just like
that's a freaking the Arizona Cardinals. I swear we could go off on a tangent for 30 minutes, and we're not going to do that tonight. Actually, Mr. Gary Johnson, welcome, sir. How are you doing this evening?
I'm here, guys. How are you?
Good, buddy. You're back, man. The legend himself, Gary Johnson. Everyone stop the presses. Gary Johnson has arrived.
Hey, Gary, why don't we jump right into it? Jeff's takeaway was the Steelers and more specifically Trubisky. What's your one takeaway from Week 14?
My Giants are in trouble.
Okay. All right.
Well, let's talk about that for a little bit. Let's talk about that for a little bit because a couple of weeks ago, right, we did have this conversation, and we had said that it was the Saquon Barkley show where he's averaging over 110 yards per carry, and that they play sloppy, and then they find a way to win. That's not sustainable, and that Daniel Jones had to be a reason for them to win at some point. How you feeling now, Gary?
I mean, we said it, and you set the table for it properly. Like, we knew that this 5-game stretch was really going to tell us exactly who the Giants were. Were they the 6-2 team, or are they the team that still is a work in progress? As I've stated from the very beginning, I asked for 6 wins, I got 7. So really, anything after that was kind of icing on the cake for me. That showed me progress. It showed me that we are actually on the right path, and
you got the right head coach. That's for darn sure.
The right head coach, and I'm slowly being turned on to the point that with weapons, we might have the right quarterback.
Yeah. See, that's where. Oh, Gary, sorry, I didn't know if you were
like. I know. it doesn't always look pretty, but I also have been through 16 years of Eli Manning.
Yeah.
And look, not every game was pretty, but he got the job done. And with the right amount of talent around him, he got the job done twice. That's the only reason why I'm like, if they kept Daniel Jones, I wouldn't be as apoplectic as most Giants fans would be. I can also understand if Brian Dable looks at him and goes, okay, that wasn't my guy that I picked. Let me pick somebody that I want to bring in. It's one of those, like, you know, you can go in either direction, but saying all of that, really, you know, like I said, we're in trouble. This game is now on Sunday between us and Washington. I mean, granted, they flexed it to Sunday night. They understood the depth of this game and how important it's going to be. So, you know, this is now the must win.
I just wanted to comment real quick on Daniel Jones, and I'll give my one takeaway. Here's the issue. Who's he throwing the ball to? You haven't done anything in the draft or free agency in the last 3 years besides Kenny Golladay. That's it. It's like I was talking to my buddy Steve, who lives in New Jersey, also from Johnston Wells. And I'm like, okay, fine. You can say Golladay didn't work out, but then what? You're just not going to try again?
Yeah.
They haven't tried to get anyone at all. You're throwing to Darius Slayton, and I don't even know who their tight end is. It's not Ingram anymore.
Yeah, and you know, Ben, and and I think, and the one thing that I have to commend any team that is in MetLife Stadium is the Giants, is that you could see what the team was able to do very early in the season when they had Breece Hall before he went down, right?
Yeah.
They gave him weapons, Garrett Wilson. Now you look at White, whatever his name is. You look at him, right? You see that. I think Daniel Jones could – look, let's just be real. Daniel Jones is never going to be a top 10 quarterback, but he's not at the bottom. He has talent.
Yeah.
He is not a bum. Like, Daniel Jones is not a bum. They've just never given him weapons. And there are some quarterbacks like a Tom Brady or before this season, Aaron Rodgers, that could do more with less. But there's a very finite number of people.
Jeff,
Daniel Jones ain't one of them.
Sorry, buddy. I just want to jump in and say that you notice, 3 years ago, was anybody talking about Josh Allen as MVP candidate? What does Buffalo do? Oh, let's go get a top 10 wide receiver. Let's get a good tight end. Let's get Gabe Davis. Oh, maybe that'll help my young quarterback. Wow.
Right?
Do you think Justin Fields would be a little bit better than what he is if he had something better? Like even the great Patrick Mahomes, the fantastic Patrick Mahomes, he loses Tyreek, the same as Rodgers lost Devontae. Kansas City, unlike Green Bay, says, let's get some pieces. They get Juju. They kept Hardman. They go get, obviously, in the middle of the season, Tony. They draft Sky Moore. Like, they said, yeah, we still have Kelsey, but let's give him something. So it's like, bro, like your team, your quarterback needs weapons. Even the amazing Patrick Mahomes still needs weapons. But my takeaway, Jeff, before I forget, and let's jump into the Lions because I think that's going to be fun. Takeaway was actually the same game. Mine was on the other side, the Ravens. So second string quarterback starts the game. Third string quarterback finishes the game. Number one wide receiver, Rashad Bateman, has been out for like 6 weeks and is out. Andrews has missed a game or two. Dobbins, Edwards, all of those injuries. And they're 9-4 in first place. That's just, I just can't ignore that. That's insane.
Now, is this a testament to the division or is it just a testament to Harbaugh?
I would lean more towards Harbaugh.
Yeah, it's crazy how good coaching, good leadership pays dividends, right? I know just like last episode, you're talking about Tampa Bay, right? Like, I mean, there's just the intangibles, man. Definitely the intangibles. But Gary, man, first off, what you sipping on?
Sprite.
Everybody, okay. I was going to say, you had some Henny or something. Say something for the rest of us.
Jeff, I know you've been excited to talk about these Lions as I have been. So let's jump it off, man. Let's jump it off.
So let's talk about this. So let's talk about these Lions, right? And I texted Ben because I really wanted to start off with this one because The Lions, I really, really, really love because I love Dan Campbell. I'm a big fan of his. So can they make the playoffs? So Goff has played 5 straight games. I think this is the first time in his career where he's gone a 5-game stretch without throwing a single interception. They rank 4th in total yards and they rank 7th in passing. But here's the thing: the defense. They're at the bottom, the second to the bottom, giving up 403.7 yards per game. So it's not the offense. The offense can score at will with all those different weapons. They are a legit top 10 playoff offense. But defense, when you give up that many yards a game, you can't stop anybody. And Jared Goff is eventually going to turn the ball over. So as much as I really like it, I'm like, I look at the schedule. You got the Jets, the Panthers, Chicago, and Green Bay, all winnable games. But they're going to shoot themselves in the foot because I do not believe that Jared Goff is going to be able to sustain this type of output for the duration of the season. That's all.
Yeah, I'm just going to go out on the limb right now. I'm not ready to say they're going to beat the Jets, but if they do, I know it's not the most bold take because I'm not saying they will make the playoffs, but if they win this week, I'm confident they will, given that schedule. Carolina, the Bears, and the Packers. The Packers are in week 18. Likely their big names, especially Rodgers, are not going to be playing that game. They're not going to care about that game. So if the Lions go to New York, because this one's on the road against the Jets, they win this week, I'm saying they win out. They go 10-7, they're in. Real quick, and Gary, I'll toss it to you. I just want to touch this real quick. So offense, to your point, Jeff, they've got 5 straight games of 25 or more. 4 of those games, 30 or more. And in those 5 games, their only loss was Buffalo.
Which is a very respectable loss, which was not even a blowout.
And that one was close, 28-25. Yeah, they still scored 25 in that game against a great defense.
Yeah. But just real quick, Gary, the Lions, what they're learning to do now is learn from their mistakes, and they're not making the same mistakes, which is why, like, I'm kind of 50-50 as far as whether I think they can make it or not. But because they're the Lions and I don't trust Jared Goff, as talented as he is, I'm not.
You're not there yet.
I'm not there yet, but next year, maybe.
Gary, talk to us.
I mean, Jared Goff led the Rams to a Super Bowl. They didn't win, but
it's 4 years ago.
But I'm saying, like, we make him out to be such a scrub, and I'm like, he led a team to the Super Bowl. Like granted, yes, they went up and they did nothing with it. Yes. And that was largely Jared Goff's fault, and that was kind of the beginning of his downfall. But at the end of the day, it's a fact. It is a fact that we cannot dispute that Jared Goff was a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl. So by that measurement, he's not a scrub. I don't think that he's going to be.
He's a lot better than Trent Dilfer. Come on,
I'm just saying. Hold on.
No, but that's fair. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you're a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl. You had to be at least serviceable enough to get to that point. You made it there past 30 other teams.
Okay, so I respect that, and I think those are all very fair points. Again, you're my boy, Gary Johnson, the legend, the true myth himself. What is that on top of your head? Is that a tiger? What is that? Who's that?
Shout out to the White Plains Tigers.
Okay, there we go. Hey, White Plains in the house, y'all. Come on now, check out Gary Johnson. Legend's back, baby. No, so the only thing I'm going to say is that I'm not saying, like, if you're the number 1 overall pick, you're going to get my respect regardless, because that's an accomplishment. I'm not saying he's a scrub, but what I'm saying is that there was a reason why they traded him to the Lions in the first place, and straight QB swap, because he couldn't elevate that offense to where they needed to go. And I'm only speaking, and I'm only very passionate about this because I had Jared Goff in fantasy football that season in 2018.
The truth comes out.
Okay. I'm just saying, hear me out now.
No, we're listening.
Y'all remember that Monday night game? It was supposed to be
51-48 against the Chiefs.
Right? Okay. Jared Goff went off in that game. Okay. It was after that game, maybe 2 more games, he was great. But then after that, it was a Todd Gurley show. Todd Gurley was the one that carried that team to the Super Bowl. Jared Goff was just completely anemic probably after week 12 of that season. And it just went downhill after that. But he's still talented. But
yeah, it's one of those things that he's at his best. I don't know. He's definitely at his best.
streaky.
Playing the best that he possibly can. He's probably somewhere in the 7th to 9th best quarterback. He's absolute streaky. Best. And he's then streaky. He's somewhere exactly. Yeah, you're saying that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But
want to. Any last thoughts on the Lions before we move to Dallas and Philly?
Yeah, I kind of just want to keep running that rock like we're doing Miles Sanders, man, with those Eagles, man, and Tony Pollard with Dallas. Let's do this. I'll give you the floor. What you got on these Dallas and Eagles, Mr. Benjamin?
So, we trying to focus more so on kind of playoffs, what these games mean. Obviously Sunday, just to touch on it briefly, anybody who watches or listens to this knows they had very close to one of the most embarrassing losses in NFL history. They played really poorly, let Houston be up 23-20 in the last 5 minutes of the game, 4th and goal at the Dallas 3. That's living too close, too dangerously. Granted, Dak, who played like crap, goes down 98 yards, win the game, so you got to give him credit for a game-winning drive. But yeah, that game was really, really ugly. As far as January, though, I don't know, most Cowboys haters hate the Cowboys because of the fans, because 90% of the fans are completely delusional and irrational, led by two that are on TV very frequently, Michael Irvin and Skip Bayless. Very, very delusional. Think they're going to the Super Bowl every year. For me personally, this game, and even go back 3 weeks, the Vikings game where we played a masterpiece, perfect game. Neither game tells me much for January. I haven't seen them, obviously, since 1996 do anything in January. And this year, I'm actually excited, might not be the right word, but I'm glad that it's very likely they won't play at home, because I've seen enough of them losing at home in the playoffs that it's like, can we just see what happens if we got to win on the road? Because we lose at home, so can we see what happens on the road? So it's just Sunday's game, and it's not much of a predictor for January for me. I can't draw too many conclusions from it. I will say, even though it's a regular season game, I won't say that we need to win, but that Philly game on Christmas Eve, we need to be competitive. If we lose, it's got to be a close one. Because if they wipe the floor with us, I'll be singing a different tune at that point. Then I'll be a lot less confident. But yeah, Philly is amazing win and one of the best rosters in the league. This just hands down one of the best rosters.
Mr. Johnson.
I mean, I've already waxed poetic about what happened with my Giants. I said we were in trouble, and I mean, Philly did what they've done, and wasn't close. Was never. The game was just. It was one of those, like, as a Giants fan, you kind of just knew. You hope for the best, but you prepare yourself for the worst. So I'll be very honest. I didn't watch most of the game. I just kind of just checked as I was checking fantasy football and all that. And once I saw that it was like 48-14, I'm like, okay, all right. All right, you've proven your point. Thanks.
They did the opposite of what Dallas did, which was come prepared and ready to play.
First of all, all right, let me talk. No. First of all, let me talk about your Cowboys.
Yeah, lay into it. Let's go.
Because God help me, I need a win in the league that we're playing in to make the playoffs. I said, "Oh, Dallas's defense is available. Oh, they're playing Houston. Oh, this is a shoo-in." Especially after last week when I picked up Cleveland's defense and got 37
got like 30-something points.
God,
yeah.
This is going to be perfect.
Wait, the fact that Dallas defense was available says a little bit about our league. Like, why is that true? Why is that true?
Well, anyways. A sidebar for 1 second. The fact that I'm 7-7 and won the division is criminal, especially the I have. I don't like the scoring. I don't know what that was, but but that has to be figured out for next season. Because
Anyways, go back to
look at
Dallas.
who I
Pick
had,
up Dallas
7-7.
Hold on, yeah, because Gary, you're the second seed and I'm the third seed, and I have a better record
Because
than you.
I'm the second seed because I won the division with a 7-7 record.
Well, we might have to change that. We'll change. It don't matter. I'm gonna win it anyway. It don't matter. But
listen, you were talking to a 3-time, going on 4-time champion over here. Like, let's
listen. We're not talking Thunderdome right now. That one is my first, dude. This is my first season having double-digit losses in any league. Like,
Wow.
I lost 10 games in that league. Like, bro,
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel really disappointed me. Oh my god.
Well,
Ugh.
I mean, yeah,
But-
that was.
But Gary,
Anyway.
lay into my Cowboys. You were going somewhere.
No,
with it.
I was saying your Cowboys got me 2 points and nearly cost me to lose and miss the playoffs. So I'm not necessarily high up on as much as I'm a fan of Micah Parsons, Mika Fitzpatrick, all them people. I'm sure Mika Fitzpatrick, Diggs, and all them.
I know who you
Like,
meant. Trayvon Diggs.
Yes, I was rolling with it.
You good? You good?
Yeah, I worry because that's a 1-10-1 team that you allowed to play and hang in a game. Like you outscored 33-0 last week, but yet you had to go on a 98-yard drive.
Gary, if
gonna
Houston
be-
executed one play, that 4th and goal to 3,
Mhm.
it's over. They had to execute one play to finish that game, and they decided to act like a 1-10 team. Finally,
they went back to being the 1-10-1 team. So yes, Houston lost that game. Dallas didn't win it. I'm sorry. Like that, Dallas did what they were supposed to. They were supposed to have done the previous 58 minutes of that game.
yeah.
They were
Yeah, I
supposed
mean,
to put that away, and they didn't. And that inconsistency is going to be the We're going to go into the season of it. Oh, whose fault is it? Is it Dak? Is it who? It's an overall inconsistency that's going to cause Dallas to continue their streak of having no Super Bowls to claim, and Jerry Jones going one step closer to death without another championship.
well,
Yeah.
I hate to say it,
Jeff,
but he's
may I
going to die
jump
without a
super,
championship.
super quick? I just wanted to say that what I think is going to happen in January is everyone's going to blame McCarthy because that's the easiest thing. But I explained to my buddy this week, it's like, dude, he doesn't do anything. Special teams coordinator is arguably the best of the last 30 years. Defensive coordinator is a top 5, Dan Quinn. Offensive coordinator runs the offense. McCarthy does nothing. It can't be his fault if he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it's very
But
true.
Jeff, go for it. Buddy.
No, I'm just, you guys pretty much summed it up. All I'm going to say is that I think that I'm.
What about Philly? Talk about Philly.
I'm just going to say just real quick about the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are in a better position this season to have a sustained run in the playoffs because I think the way the seeding is going to be, and I think they're flying a little bit more under the radar this season versus last, and I think that's going to benefit them. I'm not sure how far they're going to go, but we'll see. But the Eagles, though, the Eagles are who they are. We could talk about their record, but at the end of the day, they're still 12-1. They're the best team in the league. I know that we're going to talk about the rankings and all of that, but they have been the best team all season. My only thing is playoff football is drastically different than regular season football.
It's a different animal.
And the Jalen Hurts, can he make the necessary play that they need when they can't run the ball the way that they want or pass the ball the way that they want? But their secondary is lethal. Their secondary is legit, and they're going to stop a lot of people. We'll just see. But again, they got a lot going for them. Really wanted to get to these Bengals or Bills thing here because I know that we had to pick one. Like I said about the Bengals, man, when the Bengals are firing on all cylinders, they are a top 5 team in the NFL. Okay, when you look at this roster with Chase, with Higgins, Boyd, Perrin now, and then Joe Mixon, who's been dinged up a little bit, that offense is going to be firing all cylinders. And so to answer the question, if there's going to be one team that I have more confidence in, is going to be the Bengals because this stat, they have been winning with Joe Burrow being not necessarily mediocre, but being, above average. In those 5 games,
just like solid or so.
Yeah, he's been averaging 271 passing yards per game. During that 5-game winning streak, he only had 1 300-yard passing game. So what that shows me is that they're balanced. They have more balance. It's not the Joe Mixon. It's not just the the Joe Burrow show, but they have other ways they can beat you. The Bills, I think, are kind of running on a little bit on fumes a little bit because they struggled, even though the weather, but they only go the way that Josh Allen goes, and he only had 147 passing yards. So they're really making me nervous, but I really like the Bengals right now.
And to be clear, the quick discussion we're having here is Bengals or Bills, who are we more confident makes the Super Bowl? Gary, go for it, buddy.
I think that the Bengals, when fully healthy, best team in the AFC. The problem is when they're fully healthy. You just saw Higgins go down with an injury. You just saw Tyler Boyd go down with the injury. Like that, you're thinning up that wide receiver core that is supposed to be so potent. That three-headed monster out there. I mean, you got Jamar Chase back, but now, he's working his way back into shape and back into like game shape, really. And
game shape, yep.
You had Samaje Perine really kind of steady the ship while Mixon was out, and hopefully Mixon can get back in and really, make an impact for them. And I think, long term, yes, as a unit, that team is built for the Super Bowl. But if we're saying this season, if Buffalo doesn't make it now, when are they going to make it?
Never.
If they don't make it, they're going to blow up that team. Because what other options do you have? They have to make it.
Yeah.
They've been the
so close team. The so close team for like 2 years.
And I'm saying they are the sexy favorite, a sexy pick for many people, many talking heads all season long to be the AFC team in the Super Bowl, if not winning it outright. It's blank or get off the pot.
I think we're going to be.
I'm sorry, man. I'm saying it
no,
really
you're good.
Is,
you're good.
It really is like they have to make it. I'm sorry, Cincinnati. They crashed the party last year. They nearly pulled off. They nearly pulled off the heist of the century. Let's call it what it is. Like, but they also arrived a little bit early, and they're still. I still think defensively, they're still a few pieces away from truly being the juggernaut that can really run roughshod in the NFL. For now, that's supposed to be and is Buffalo, and I believe that I think they're going to make the Super Bowl, but I'm saying it more like they better. Because if not, it's going to be a real long offseason.
They're only going to do it because of that defense and not Josh Allen. That defense is straight dominant. That's it. It's not going to be Josh Allen because clearly he's not.
Gary, you see what he's doing? He's trying to invite Von Miller into this conversation.
No, I'm not even going there. I'm not even going there. Like he can't. I wasn't even going there. I'm
busting you.
But no, it's all good. But hail Von Miller. But I was going to leave it alone. But let me tell you. Now, if he was, let me stop. No, they're going to go. They are going to go
as far as their defense goes. That's what you're trying to say.
As the defense goes. That's all I'm saying. They would have been even more potent with Von Miller on that defense, but whatever.
Yes. So my answer to this one, and I think we're going to jump to the power rankings next, fellas. But my answer is Cincinnati. And I could tell you the offensive line is better, which is true. I could tell you the running game is better, which is true. But really it comes down to, man, in sports, there's a real thing where it's like, I don't fear anyone. I'm going to beat you. I don't care who's on the other team. I'm going to beat you. And I think that starts with the quarterback. I don't think he's too cocky in the media or anything like that. But on the field, he literally thinks he's the best quarterback on the field every single week. And that confidence and that they have no fear. Doesn't matter where the game is, who the opponent is. They think they're legitimately going to win every week. And I think there's a mental side of sports that no one really, ever talks about, but they just have no fear. They think they're going to win every game. So out of Bills, Bengals, I'm saying Bengals.
Okay. Now keep going with your power rankings there, sir. What we got? What we looking?
Yeah. All right. So we'll jump right into it. Power rankings. I've been consistent since probably September. Philly is number one. they've record-wise been the best team for so long. I don't care who you play, you still got to win. So Philly is 1. Bills and Chiefs are very close. I give the Bills number 2 because of a head-to-head. Teams are very closely ranked, but Bills went to Kansas City and won. So Bills 2, Chiefs 3. I got the Niners at number 4. I'm not sitting here thinking they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying Purdy's the best quarterback, but man, they just like the quarterback. It's a system more than maybe any in our lives. It's a system where just don't mess up. They have so many weapons and one of the best play callers of the last 50 years to the point where, like, yeah, ultimately in the playoffs, it's going to be Brock Purdy. You need to get a touchdown drive right now. You need to win us the game. That'll probably happen at some point. So I'm not sitting here predicting them going to the Super Bowl, but if I'm going just very small sample size last 2 weeks, I got to put 49ers 4, Cowboys 5. That's my 4 or 5. I got Niners, Cowboys. That's my top 5.
Just real quick, Gary, before you go, what I'm going to say is that I think that Kyle Shanahan deserves to be the coach of the 49ers for life. As long as he wants to be, okay? Because this man has done so much more with less, it is not even funny, okay? This man has had success with Jimmy Garoppolo as his quarterback. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo still deserves some credit, but Jimmy freaking Garoppolo, and then he goes out with that quarterback and puts up a 35
on a top 5 defense, by the way.
That's
the
what I'm
Bucs
saying.
Going into that game with top 5.
That shows me his attention to detail. That shows me the prep. That shows just his full control. That man is just, man, he is something to watch, man. He is just, he is one of my favorite coaches, man. He really is.
So what you got for your 5, Mr. Jeffrey Long?
I'm going to go Eagles. I think they've been number 1. I'm going to go Kansas City number 2. I know the record, 34-28, but it really was an ass whooping. All of a sudden, I don't know, Denver like to come out like they wanted to play, but whatever. Still repping my team, even though we 3-10. Absolute joke. Buffalo at 3. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Cowboys at 4.
Okay,
but not by much. It's like 4A and 4B, and I'm only having them ahead because of the quarterback. I trust Dak Prescott more versus than Purdy. That's the only reason.
Okay.
And then the Deebo Samuel injury, I think, is very, very, very big. That's a big key piece. So I got them at 5.
Yeah, I'm just going to, Gary, sorry to jump in. I know you're going to go with your 5, but if Deebo is not at least 80% for the playoffs, they don't make the Super Bowl. 80% or healthier the whole playoff run.
Well, they said that he's supposed to be out, and this is a direct quote, 3-ish weeks.
Yep.
So we don't know. Hopefully it's 3. Probably be more like 4 or 5, and we'll see what happens after that point. But going to my power rankings, I got Philly number 1. Look, I'm not a hater. Ass whooping is an ass whooping, and they're 12-1. And you've hit the nail on that. You play the team in front of you. The team in front of you has to be prepared to win, to play, and it was clear the Giants were in Philly capitalized like they really capitalized. So we got Philly number 1. I'm going KC number 2. I think that Mahomes and yes, I also, as much as I question Dallas' defense, I have to question Kansas City's defense because, really, 27-0. You shut the door. You shut the door and you lock it.
Yeah.
You let broken down Russell Wilson, and I mean really broken down Russell Wilson.
really
put some respect on my Broncos, though.
Broken down to the point where my man ended up. He had to get a concussion to help as far as
save his misery. Can I
just real quick?
And let's be clear, guys. We're not. Let's just be abundantly clear. We're joking about it. We don't wish injury or concussion on anyone.
Hope Russell Wilson gets better.
Absolutely. I just wanted to make that clear.
He's a competitor, but that trade was an extremely bad idea on many fronts. But I digress. Let me just finish real quick. So KC 2, Buffalo 3. I think again that's interchangeable. They've really been going back and forth. Depends on who's hot at that time. I've got the Vikings 4. I think, they've been the sleeper team, and I know nobody really respects them because they might actually be the worst 10-3 or 10-4 team right now. But again, the same argument that we make for Philly, you have to make for Minnesota. You play who's in front of you, you're getting the wins, and they're gonna win and they're gonna lock up the NFC North, and that's that. Good for them. And then 5, I literally have been tossing between the 49ers and the Cowboys. I had the 49ers, but then the Deebo injury kind of
threw a wrench into that a little bit.
You got the Deebo injury for the 49ers, and you're looking to see Brock Purdy caught magic against a really bad Tampa Bay team. Let's be honest. A Tampa Bay team is going to win the division because somebody has to win that division.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, let's not call this the massive upset of the decade. He beat a bad team. So let's see him play actually good teams, and let's see what happens. On the flip side, where we talked about your Cowboys, and it's been really that inconsistency. So I'll flip a coin, and I'm going to say the 49ers just because Brock Purdy's story is I'm gonna give
Mr. Irrelevant. Mr. Irrelevant, yeah.
That's it.
And real quick on the Vikings, just for a tiny bit of context, why we're saying they're possibly the worst 10-3 team ever is because they literally have scored less than they've allowed. It's 1 point, but they literally have a negative point differential. One less point.
And you also consider the fact that 9 of their 10 wins are by less than single 10, digits.
Yep.
So for me, it's I think that this loss is a demoralizing loss for them, and I think that they're gonna start to really show themselves in the next couple of weeks because I think these defensive coordinators are very highly paid and good at what they do for a reason. And you have Kirk Cousins as your quarterback
and you got to kind of look at potential matchups now. We still got 3 or 4 weeks, but you still can see certain playoff matchups happening. And I'm going to say right now, if it's Niners at Minnesota, I ain't betting anything on the Vikings to win that game.
Yeah, I just don't
2
trust
versus
them.
3, Niners at Minnesota, taking the Niners 100%.
Yeah, I'll trust them. But I don't know, man. It's going to be the 49ers. They're a very intriguing story. The Vikings. Let me ask you this. What division are you more intrigued by, the NFC or the AFC? For me, I'm more intrigued by the NFC.
That's a good one. To me, it's what's interesting. I think the AFC has maybe a little bit more teams that could win it. But if I'm thinking about it just in the moment right now, I think there's 3 clear in each. I think you got the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Bengals. And I think you got the Niners, the Cowboys, and Philly. So I think you got 3, given health and all that jazz. But as of right now, where we stand today, I think there's 3 clear AFC teams. One of those 3 goes to the Super Bowl. 3 clear NFC teams. One of them goes to the Super Bowl.
What you got, Gary? What you thinking? AFC or NFC? What division or conference are you more intrigued by?
That's what I mean. It's a hell of a question to ask because this season has allowed.
It's been so
parity.
No, I was just saying it's just been
up and down.
Yeah.
Parity is real. This is what the NFL has wanted for years, and they finally got it. Yes, Philly has been dominant. They've been 12-1, but there's a bit of a logjam past those 3 teams on each conference that you mentioned. You look at a team like Washington, who was on a bye and jumped 2 spots to the 5 seed.
Yeah.
Had to do nothing but just breathe. And yet here we are.
Just sit there and get healthier and watch yourself go into a playoff spot.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I forgot to send this to you guys, but there's this quote that I saw Travis Kelce where he kind of shitted on Russ. And I'm just going to read a snippet of it real quick. He said, I got a chance to meet Russ before the game. Nice guy, but there's an ever-present stepdad who tries to hard cringe that permeates the air around him. He asked me if I thought people who watch Harry Potter were going to hell. When I laughed and told him I didn't know, he asked me who my favorite Harry Potter character was. I replied Hagrid, and he told me he'd be praying for me. He had a lot of nervous energy like a theater kid recording a TikTok movie monologue. His voice kept on shifting accents while we talked like a computer that was trying to sync up my voice. I don't know, seemed like a dude who had to hang out with Patrick's brother. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
You know what's interesting? That quote is obviously really spicy and really interesting. But at the same time, it's like, man, that's part of the reason he's not in Seattle. Because it's almost like he was always trying to prove to everyone that he was either better at football or better as like a human being. Like, I'm better than you because I have these amazing values, because I'm religious, because I'm this, like, I'm better than you. And that's essentially in those 50 words what Kelsey is saying in a way.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. That's really interesting. But it's kind of like that's one of the reasons you're not in Seattle. 100%.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting one. But
shall we jump to fantasy football, sir? Let's do it.
Fantasy football. Gary, talk to me, man. What are some of your concerns? Playoff any of your playoff fantasy teams. You got any concerns? Any key holes that you're looking to kind of fix off the waiver wire?
Well, needless to say, I spoke last week about my quarterback dilemma.
How'd that work out?
I mean, call me the cardiac kid because I pulled off a one victory last night. Like, thank you, James Conner, for being. I'm sorry. I hope Kyler Murray gets well soon. But the best thing that could have happened for me was that knee injury, because then they had to run the ball. And James Conner, I needed 24 points to tie and 25 to win, and he got me 25 to win.
There you go.
There we go.
So the quarterback
sending Christmas cards to James Conner.
Yes, and wait, even better. So we talk about the quarterback situation. So I did end up starting Tyler Huntley. And we saw how well that went.
Probably got less than 10 points because
6.
of the concussion? 6? Okay.
Tannehill, who I put on the bench, got 13 points. It would have been. I could have had this victory in hand had I started him. Or here's an even better idea: if I didn't start Tennessee's defense.
Oh my God! You're not the only one that was impacted by that. I was too, for sure. And
negative 3 points.
Yep.
I start any other defense, I win that game outright yesterday. Like, it was.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of I look at and I pointed out to you guys. My last 3 wins have been by a combined 6 points. So I worry about scoring, but
are we talking about the podcast league, Gary?
I'm sorry?
Are we talking about the podcast league right now?
So in the podcast league, my roster is stacked. I should have a much better record than 7-7. I just gotta look at everything again and kind of figure out what happened to end up with that kind of record. But
Gary, like, dude, there's one league where I had 4 losses where I lost by literally 0.5 point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had another league where I had 5 losses that were ties, but because I had less bench points, I lost. Now, y'all know me. I'm in like 12 fantasy football leagues this year. I do a lot of them. Yeah. I love fantasy football.
Hey, if you love it and you enjoy it, why not?
That's right.
It's just one of those years. I am typically not bad at fantasy football, but this one I'm waving the white flag. No, seriously, like, this year has just been so just weird. So much bad QB play.
Tight ends.
Injuries.
Like, the tight ends suck. Besides, like, the top 3.
Right. Kyle Pitts, who's a top 5 talent, was just utter crap. I mean,
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
This year, next year is going to course correct. But Ben, talk to me.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. I mean, I've said it, to people, and it's like, listen, fantasy football at the maximum, let's say we control 5% of what happens. Yep. So let's say out of that 5%, the best that you can do, people don't like to hear it, whatever it is, but master that 5%. Do the best that you can with that 5% you can control. And then you have to live with the results. You make the choices that are smart, and you think are going to work, and then the games happen, and anything can happen. Like literally. So you just have to like you can't focus too much. Like just to your point, Jeff, it's a weird year. My brother-in-law, my wife's brother, Steve, is in our biggest money league. He had the second most points scored in the entire league, and also the first most points is scored against him. So he finished 6-8, and I scored the most, and then he's right there at number 2, 6-8 out of the playoffs. Like, what else was he supposed to do? He scored points. Like what did he do wrong? Technically nothing. He scored points every single week, but just couldn't. It's one of those years for sure. But as far as like concerns go, I mean, just mine specifically talking about that one, which luckily my biggest money league is my best team. Not that anything's guaranteed by any stretch. But my biggest concerns really are injury related. For that team, it's Lamar, who I managed to get Geno Smith. So not horrible, but obviously you'd probably rather Lamar. And then Goddard is the concern that he's supposed to be back this week. And then really, honestly, I don't believe in the knock on wood or talking about it makes it going to happen or not going to happen. But Tyreek and Eckler have been amazing. They've been phenomenal. And they're on that same team. And that's probably the biggest reason I am where I am. So if they can both stay healthy, then I honestly don't have too many concerns with that league. Mostly just drafted well. And the draft is sort of a crapshoot too. But Tyreek, Eckler, Olave, and Lamar and Goddard were all draft picks in that league.
Yeah. I mean, it's Our league is the one that I'm paying the most attention to because this is the one that I've been doing.
The one you're competitive in now. Yeah. Not how you started in September, but now you're like, shit, let me win something. Let me win something.
Right. So, for me, again, thanks, Ben, for trading Travis Etienne for me, because if that one, I would have been done. This one just makes
what
me
was
nervous.
What was that Amon-Ra St. Brown?
St. Brown versus Travis Etienne.
Like 4 weeks ago or so.
Yeah.
Worked out for both of us, really.
Yeah. But for me, it's, I don't think I have the best team. I just think I think the guys that I needed to come through for me when needed came through. Because I almost lost this week to Paul. I only won by 2 points. I swore I was going to lose, but I only won because the Patriots defense got me 19 points. That's the only reason.
So the Kyler Murray injury, to be clear, we wish he was healthy, but for both of you, it worked out.
Absolutely.
Yes, it
for
did.
Both of you.
Yes, it did. But I wish him the best, though.
Absolutely.
I wish Kyler Murray nothing but the best. But I got DJ Moore, that I'm starting Pickens. Olave and Garrett Wilson are kind of hot and cold, man. Garrett Wilson, he'll have games where he'll go off for 25 points, but then the next week only have 3. You just got to hope
that's the kind of product of the Jets offense, though.
Yeah, man, so but you got to start him.
It's not his talent level, really. It's just the inconsistency of their offense, really.
But you got to start him. If you have him, you got to start him. Olave, you have to start him. One quick question. Let's put a little pivot. Gary, Ben.
Hold on. I just had one more point that I need to make about
Go for it.
Ben, are you Team Bone Crushers or who's Team Bone?
Yeah. Yep. Yes.
Your plus minus is like 5 for the season.
Like, really? Is it that?
It's like plus
only 5 more points than allowed? Really?
I believe
I'm curious. Let me see this.
Oh no, what's mine? I'm curious. You got it up
this
there?
In real time. I got the league here, so we got. My plus minus is over 100.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
21-20.
I thought it said 20-20. That's why I was like, wait a minute.
Oh yeah. You were like, yeah, that's only more than 5. So 21-20 as far as points scored, which is number 1 in the league, and then points against is relatively high compared to everybody else, 20-15. So plus 100.
Because I was looking at this, I'm like, my plus minus is like 185.
How are you 7-7? How am I 11-3?
Like that's all I'm saying. What the hell? What
in points 4, Gary? Sorry, I'm just looking at it right now. Points 4, you're number 2.
I'm second
me,
in
you.
both points scored and allowed, and I'm 7-7.
Yeah.
And
There you
I'm
go.
sorry, just real quick for the people at home and everybody watching. This is my starting roster: Jalen Hurts, Derrick Henry, Miles Sanders, Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, T.J. Hawkinson, Alvin Kamara, Dante Foreman, the Raiders defense, and Chris Boswell. How the hell am I
It's not a bad
7-7?
Yeah,
It's not-
exactly.
your
That
roster is better than mine.
That 95% has mostly worked against you.
His
That's
roster is
what it
better than
is.
mine. Like if you put our rosters up against it, you would think mine is the 7-7 one.
Yeah, it would
Like,
be reversed.
I've just gotten.
This is criminal. I'm sorry. I need to get that off my chest. I've been watching the league all season. I'm like, how the hell am I? How was I going into this last week 6-7 and needing a win to make the play? Like,
And
I should
Gary,
have
you know what?
in a while ago.
Now that you did win, if you win the whole thing, 7-7 is
make
not
it
going to
score.
matter. It's not going to matter at all.
Yeah,
And I'm
so-
sorry, I need one more thing. I need to talk about the Thunderdome because I need to shout out your cousin, Jeff. I need to shout out Loren because this man started 0-5 in our league. Like, I was trying to get ready to pillage his roster. I'm like, all right, he's waving the white flag. It's a wrap. He didn't make the playoffs, but he finished 7-7. Like,
Not bad.
he had the second best. He tied for the best record to finish the season with our number 1 seed. Like, I have to shout him out. I'm like, had certain tiebreakers fell in his favor, he'd be in. So
And Ben, put that in context. The cousin that he's talking about was my best man, the one that roasted me at my wedding.
Nice.
He's the one that's in.
But Jeff,
did you
remember what your question was going to be? Your pitch?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay, go
yes,
for
I
it.
do. Because so who is one player that no matter what you're starting, right? For me, it's Garrett Wilson. I don't know what I'm going to get that
You're
week.
non-superstar.
Just
It's
like a
not
non-superstar.
Like Eckler, like
Not Tyreek, but just like if
Yep.
it's like a rookie, like no matter what, you don't know what you're going to get, but it's not because of their talent. It's just the way like the game plan goes or volume.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. No matter what, I'm starting them every week moving forward. You guys have the floor.
I mean, I've kind of got an all-star roster here, so it's kind of hard to say like who is.
It could be anyone. It doesn't need to be on your team. It could be anybody. It doesn't need to be in your team.
Yeah. Anybody that you're like, I'm starting him every week.
You
Doesn't
just have
matter
to.
matchup, and it's not a superstar.
Oh, the only like consistent tight end this season, T.J. Hawkinson.
Okay,
And he got
Like,
traded.
that
Like, I
works.
don't-
By the way,
He's
that goes back
he's
to the
gotten
Lions.
double-digit points
They
all
would
season
be
long.
they would be better right now if they had him. Like,
I just
bro,
don't
Now,
what
I
are
will
you
understand
say this:
doing?
we largely defecated on Detroit for making this trade because it's like that's your best talent, but there's an outside chance that this works out for both of them, and that's the damnedest thing of it all.
Very, very, very true.
It'll be
Jeff, to answer
interesting.
your question, mine is pretty similar. Mine's going to be Olave. That you gotta roll with them, and honestly, probably Christian Watson as well.
Okay.
Got him on the same team, and it's going to be hard once this week. Luckily, based upon records of mine and others, doesn't matter for me in that league, but it's going to be hard to bench either one of those.
Okay. And one more question.
Yes, sir.
What round would you draft Christian Watson in next season?
Right off the top of my head, real time. Let's go. Well, let's pretend Aaron Rodgers is still the quarterback because that changes the answer. So, in the world that Aaron Rodgers is still the quarterback, man, I think, man, my brain said fifth, then it said fourth, then it said third. I'll go with fifth.
Okay. What about you, Gary?
If Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, fourth round. If he's not the quarterback, you don't draft him.
That's for him.
If you don't,
Or he's a
It just depends.
late round pick.
Yeah, he's like a
if Rodgers ain't the quarterback, you're talking about 9th or 10th for sure.
Yeah,
I think regardless.
The last
Go
picks.
ahead.
Hey, Jeff,
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, do we want to end with one good and bad, most surprising, most disappointing, whatever?
Yeah,
one good, one bad.
Yeah, go for it, Benny boy.
So surprising on the bad side, Darnell Mooney, especially the way he finished last year. dude was on a hot streak last year. He's got the same quarterback, same coaches, and he ain't on anybody's roster right now. That's for darn sure, and hasn't been for probably a month. And then honestly, my good, we already talked about him, but Olave has exceeded expectations, especially for the Saints as a whole, but also from a fantasy perspective. I looked it up before the show. He's number 20 PPR for wide receivers, number 20. For a rookie, that's pretty darn good. I didn't expect this production. So exactly, imagine better
just
quarterback play.
Man. I'm telling you, I'm just saying
talented. He's talented.
Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson are going to be guys that you're talking about. If the QB play can get better, you're talking about maybe 2 years from now them being legitimate consideration for the first round. That's all depending on
both Ohio State alums.
Yes,
too. Ohio
all
State.
depends. Buckeyes. It's exciting. It's really, really, really exciting to see the rookies.
So what's your good and bad, Jeff? Oh, sorry. I don't care the order. Doesn't matter.
I mean, I'm just going to say the bad. I'm just going to say it again. It's been Kyle Pitts. I mean, I'm just going to say it over and over again. I mean, that's just been just horrifically disappointing. I'm going to say one that really exceeded expectations. I'm going to say is Garrett Wilson. I know that the pedigree matters and that usually first-round draft pick wide receivers usually do well, but I didn't think he was going to do this well considering the quarterback situation. So there you go.
Mr. Gary Johnson.
So a surprise really on now that you look at the big picture and look at like everything in totality, I guess it's not as much a surprise, but you would have thought you would have gotten more out of Devontae Adams all season long. I think, you know, that so hyped connection between him and Derek Carr, former roommates and friends and buddies, whatever, I think was a little overhyped. And as a result, it resulted in a large, like, yes, he had his breakout performances. He had those like flash and pan moments that he was doing, you know, of his consistency that he had in Green Bay, but it wasn't enough.
Guys, it just goes, we don't want to beat a dead horse, but it goes back to coaching, man. Yeah. McDaniels is a great offensive coordinator and a horrible head coach.
Yes. And then my surprise on the good side, Geno Smith.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
He has kept Seattle relevant in the playoff race in a season in which everybody said 3 wins.
Yeah, everybody said they could be in contention for the 1 pick. And now look at them, 7-6.
7-6, like they're still, you know, the 49ers have not put this away just yet, and they still have to try to like yes, Brock Purdy's he's going to be, you know, the talk of the town for a while, but we have to see it against more relevant teams.
It's also a desperation game. That's the Thursday night game for people. It's 49ers Seattle. It's kind of like Seattle. If you want to make the playoffs, you have to win that game.
Yeah.
Regardless of anything else, you got to win that game.
Ben, for them to make the playoffs, they're going to have to win the NFC West. That's the bottom line. I don't think that they'll do enough. I don't think they'll do enough to get one of the wild card spots.
Okay, I can respect that. I like that.
But regardless, though, Seahawks have had an amazing year. Nonetheless.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And gentlemen, coaching, it matters, man. In the NFL more than the other major sports because you're managing 53 players on game day.
Plus.
53 on game day.
Oh, yeah,
compared to game day. Compared to NBA, NHL, there's 5 on the ice or the court.
Yeah, man.
And 10 playing.
Yeah, no doubt. It's gonna be fun. But it looks like we're just at the 1 hour mark. Gentlemen, it's good to have gotten back to do episode 55. We're moving along here. Some exciting things in 2023 and beyond. So let's just kind of keep pushing at it and just keep going out there. So that's all for tonight, folks. We thank all of our listeners. You can catch us on obviously on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We're on the Twitterverse.
Detroit Lions to the playoffs. Can they do it? Let's see. Let's see.
And can the Broncos not lose 13 games? I'm just telling you, man. If it's a dude, I'm
The
telling you
worst
what.
part as a Broncos fan, you don't need me to tell you this. They don't have their first round pick.
We're three. We could potentially go 3-14. That's how sad it is.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of the most disappointing. This is the most disappointing season I think I've ever seen as a Broncos fan.
Y'all need to. That head coach has got to go. That should
he's
happen
just
like
completely.
That should happen like the Monday. I can respect ownership or teams not doing it during season, but that literally should happen on Monday after week 18, like immediately. Like that should be the first head coach fired, like no hand, nothing. Like he should be gone.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So, but yeah, so that's all for tonight, folks. Guys, take care. We'll be back next week. Peace.
Y'all come back now. Here.
Later.